Coming up, many tattoo artists and body piercers are raising complaints over proposed rules to ban tattooing over scar tissue in Kentucky. And as students are graduating across the region, 6 adults in Harlan County graduated to recognize a different type of milestone. Plus, one Eastern Kentucky Children's Advocacy Center has a new employee with 4 legs to help children in times of need.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on Wednesday, May the 29th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. Well, it was a warm day yesterday like we expected, and today we should see much of the rain. However, in the afternoon hours, we should see much of the same. But in the afternoon hours, we'll see it switch over to rain.
There you go. Well, you were with me there, and we're going to continue to see the hot temperatures for a couple more days, and then a cool down is coming. Let's take a look this morning as we head out the door. Whitesburg now back online, and things are pretty quiet there. Maybe just, again, a few high clouds and a little bit of visibility issues, especially down toward Harlan there. So be careful, some patchy fog. It's hot. It's humid. And, yes, I see it's only 70 to 75 in most locations, but you walk outside, you'll feel it. Not too much in the way of temperature change in the last 24 hours. Day planner, though, we're going to climb once again, but those chances for showers and storms will ramp up, especially as we get past lunchtime. More on that here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Some new rules could soon be in place for tattoo artists and body piercers here in Kentucky. A meeting at the Cabinet for Health and Family Services drew a large number of people from that industry. Olivia Russell has more on the possible new regulations.
The conference room was packed with people like tattoo artists and people who have had scars covered by tattoos, all of them speaking out against this proposal.
A draft of some proposed regulations from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services called for a ban on tattooing over scars. Many of the people here say the proposed rules don't define a scar. They argue a tattoo on some scars is not only safe, but helpful. Many tattoos on scar tissue cover things like C-sections, mastectomies, and reminders of self-harm. Some tattoo artists are also concerned that a regulation like this could keep them from doing tattoo cover-ups. Artists say they wouldn't tattoo over a fresh wound anyway. They wait for the skin to heal first. The people at this meeting were glad to see regulators listening to their concerns.
I believe that the commission will listen to what everybody had to say, and I also know that they even themselves, I think, feel that it was drafted a bit too broad, and that by refining the administrative regulation, they can bring in a statute that applies in a manner that can be handled.
Many of the people who spoke say that there are some parts of the tattoo industry that do need more regulation, but they say banning covering scars is not the issue. In Frankfort, Olivia Russell, WKYT.
Now, if you were not at the meeting, you have until Friday to submit written comments about the proposal. Well, 6 people marked a new beginning in Harlan County yesterday. The individuals graduated drug court in a ceremony held in the Justice Center Tuesday, but put on by the district and circuit court judges and the countless others that help. This shows that there is a future for those addicted, marking a change in their lives and a new future.
This gives the community a chance to see that we are making some strides in catching these people when they're young.
4 of the 6 graduating were at the ceremony. The other 2 couldn't make it because they were at work. Well, Judy's Place for Kids has a new employee with 4 legs. This is Leslie. He is a facility dog with more than 50 tricks. The furry friend meets each child that comes in for a forensic interview or gets a medical examination, and even travels to court with children. Heather Norris Harrison says Leslie is a real game changer for the work that they do.
Now we can bring out Leslie and they get really calm. So then when they go back to talk to Miss Gwen, they're not so nervous, they're not so scared, so they're able to give better interviews, better narratives, so we can help them in through the court process and through the medical process and therapy process. So he's just an integral part of what we're doing now.
Such a good boy. Leslie is 2 years old. Typically, each facility dog can work for 10 years. Well, the Supreme Court has weighed in on another abortion case. The justices let stand a lower court ruling that Indiana cannot ban abortions performed because of fetal disabilities or because of the sex or race of the fetus. However, the court sided with the Indiana law, which says aborted fetuses can no longer be disposed of as medical waste. They have to be cremated or buried. Hazard Community and Technical College is helping their criminal justice students get better hands-on training. The simulation lab allows students to experience hundreds of different scenarios that law enforcement officers face. Instructor Walter Smith says the main thing he wants his students to learn is that they can de-escalate situations without using force.
Hopefully they're not just learning to pass multiple choice tests, but they're learning how to actually use these skills in real-world applications that they're going to someday face.
Smith says they plan to offer police officer trainings with the simulator in the near future. 2 people, including an 11-year-old girl, are dead and at least 17 others are injured after what some describe as a savage attack on school children in Japan. A group of elementary school children ages 6 to 12 were waiting for their school bus when witnesses say a man carrying a knife in each hand started slashing them and screaming, "I will kill you." A 6th grade girl and a 39-year-old father of another student died after being stabbed in the head, chest, and face. This woman lives near the bus stop.
She says, "I saw kids screaming and crying. Other kids and people at the scene looked too shocked to do anything. I didn't know what I could do for them."
Most of the injured were girls who attend a private Catholic school in Kawasaki, 11 miles south of Tokyo. And after the attack, the suspect stabbed himself in the neck before being apprehended. A short time later, he was pronounced dead at a hospital. Police are still investigating a motive and have not identified the attacker. A fire destroyed a Floyd County post office in WeeksBury Monday. WYMT's Buddy Forbes spoke to a postal employee who is also the former owner of the building. She tells us there was more behind the building's walls than just mailboxes.
To some, it was just an old building.
It wasn't just a post office.
To Connie Jackson and many others in the WeeksBury community, it was much more.
They would walk to the post office or ride a four-wheeler to the post office, and they would stand and talk and visit with everybody.
Now the WeeksBury post office is a pile of ash and debris.
It's pitiful.
After a fire destroyed the building Monday morning.
This was the last bit of history that we have here.
The last in a line of historical landmarks to fade away.
The fountain, the clubhouse, the movie theater, the bank, all of that was here, that's all gone now.
Into nothing but a memory.
There's nothing left, and this was the last historical piece that we had.
Jackson said she will always remember the building for what it was to her.
I had my first grandchild while I worked here. I lost my mom while I worked here. My husband battled cancer while I worked here. And I have been on my knees praying in this post office more times than you know.
And the way it served the community for 110 years. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Anyone who received their mail at the WeeksBury post office will now have to use the Melvin post office. The Perry County Senior Citizen Center hosted its annual Radio Day on Tuesday. Each year they host the event on WSGS in Hazard. People and businesses can call in for much of the day and make donations to the center. This will help pay for meals, trips, and other activities for local seniors. They raised $15,000 by the end of the day. Here's a story we have been keeping an eye on. Pineville Mayor Scott Maiden says the city is stepping away from possibly taking over the Southeastern Kentucky Medical Center, a move that leaves the hospital with an uncertain future. Maiden and the city hope to find a way to keep the hospital running. However, there is no word right now on if it might be forced to shut down in the coming days. Some parents at Betsy Lane Elementary School protested outside Tuesday morning. They were upset about a recent decision made by the Floyd County Board of Education to suspend 4 employees. It comes after the Kentucky Department of Education launched an investigation of 2017 K-Prep test scores. The report says 3 administrators and a teacher would be reported to the Kentucky's Education Professional Standards Board, which oversees educators' state licenses. This action upset some parents whose children attend the school.
These people are good people. They would bend over backwards for every single child in that school. And what's been done to them is an injustice. It's a major injustice.
The 4 named in the report were suspended with pay, but will not be hired for future employment with the Floyd County School District. Superintendent Danny Atkins has released a statement that you can read in full on our website at WYMT.com. In West Virginia, the Chapmanville Volunteer Fire Department says a business destroyed by fire in December 2016 has reopened. The Dairy Delight, which was reopened Tuesday, and firefighters say the business has been booming, with the line to the drive-thru stretching into the street at times. They say support from the community has been extremely strong. The fire was not considered suspicious. Later, we will show you Gatlinburg's new Sky Bridge with an unbeatable view and a feature that is making many tourists a bit nervous.
We'll need to go do that at some point. While we're expecting another hot and humid day for weather-wise, that heat could help fire off some strong storms later. We'll have the latest forecast in about 3 minutes.